we are back. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and I am here with one of the most dynamic women that I know, Sherre DeMao. She is the CEO of Biz Growth Inc. Sherre, what do you have for us?
What I have for us is an article from entrepreneur.com, or Entrepreneur magazine. And what really attracted me to it was the title, More Revenue, Same Customers, because I have dealt with this for the 30-some years and working with small business, them, looking for that shiny object of the prospect, thinking they have to be prospect. And again, we're talking about prospecting later.
Yes, we are.
But sometimes they're spending money where they don't need to, because they could literally and sometimes double or triple their sales with their existing customer base. Now, that doesn't mean they don't still have that pipeline.
Sure.
But what happens with most of these companies is they are so constantly chasing the prospect that they wonder why they're not keeping their clients. And so, I looked at this article again. I was attracted to the title. I went to read it, and it was using Apple and Amazon as a comparison, and it was very consumer oriented. And whether it's B2B or consumer, when you're a very small business, there's really some simple things you can do. And one thing that I have proven, because again, I'm all about research, right? So when I interview customers of clients, over 30-some years, I've literally interviewed thousands. As a matter of fact, I've
read a couple of your books that I know were hundreds.
And so, I actually developed an attraction retention model around the feedback from customers. I found that I was asking the same questions about 20 years in, and I had this incredible, it was like data mining. I had this incredible data I could aggregate and come up.
Right.
And so, what I have found in looking back at all of those surveys is that, and I have to say this twice because you have to think about it, more than half of your customers know less than half of what you offer. So think about that. More than half of your customers know about less than half of what you offer. And it happens all the time. So, they contract you for one thing, or they buy a particular product, and they're not reminded of all the other things that you could do for them. And so for me, that communicate, and oh my goodness, I have so many examples, I can give.
Right.
So, one example, I love this example because the company was doing everything right, but it was actually hurting them. They wanted to be viewed as every customer was their only customer. You hear this all the time, right? They want that customer service, that incredible customer service. Well, this company was basically a project management general contracting company that helped build the big sports stadiums around the country. Okay, they helped Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they even helped with the new Steelers stadium, and all of this. And so so they were when I interviewed their customers, we found out that they loved them. They absolutely loved them. But when they found out they were working on another stadium, even though they would have liked them to do the club upfit or whatever, they thought they were too busy. And when I came back with that information, they go, well, how can that be? And I go, well, did you let them know you were working on other stadiums while you were making them feel like the only customer? And so instead of going out with this big prospecting marketing campaign, we focused inward on communicating, because this was right around when Homeland Security was a big deal. And so just simple communications to their customer base, because then they're not, the stadium in Pittsburgh isn't competing with the stadium in Tampa. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of egos in these owners, and they want to know what the other state, because they want to do it too, right? Oh yeah, they can't have a better
ego in business. No.
And so that was a huge aha. And again, the only thing they were doing wrong was not communicating with their customers. Another example is a client out of Ohio years ago. Restorative contractor hired us because they wanted to expand outside of their central Ohio marketplace, and they did their kind of the Serve Pro. They did and I think we have a restorative group here that's what's the name of the group that's a sponsor here that does if it's burning or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, you like
I love that. I do. I love that. Well, anyway, same type of company, and I interviewed not only their customers, but I interviewed the insurance claims officers. Now, insurance claims officers can't say, use this company, but they can give a short list. What we found out is they were only making 10% of the short lists. And it's because the insurance claims company didn't realize they would come in and clean it up before they would fix it up.
Got it.
And so that was like, oh, no, they didn't need to expand out of the central Ohio area. They needed to communicate better with those. And then they ended up getting on 99% of the list, and they exploded in sales right in their same marketplace. And so, for me, it's so easy to continually look, at, the new, but you never should forget about, there's statistics out there. It's a lot, just like it's it's more costly to replace an employee. It's very costly to replace a customer too.
Right. So are there some tactics you might suggest that small business people do to reach out to current clients and give them information?
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in regular communications, and I'm a big believer in communications both via virtual and just the whole, snail mail is actually coming back because
which is really what you recommended for me. I mean, we created a report to tell our clients, hey, guess what? We haven't sold your business yet.
Right.
And when you first told me that, I'm like, this is just stupid. My clients love it.
Yeah.
They really do
because they feel like they're being kept informed, and then they feel like they're being cared about. And I think the big thing, and sometimes I'll have, business owners that say, well, they're never going to buy this, so why should I tell them about this whole other division of my company or whatever? And I said, they know people, don't they? They know people.
Right.
So why cut your nose off to spite your face, assuming that because they're not going to do business with you, that they won't refer somebody because, I don't need this, but somebody needs this.
Right.
So, that I think the very first and foremost, and you know this because this is what I do, they need to talk to their customers and become aware of what they do and don't know. And I really do believe it needs to be an outside party. You can't do it yourself. It's amazing how often I have interviewed customers of clients who raved about the clients, but then when you ask, is there anything, what is least impressive? I always like to say, what's the least impressive in all these different areas?
Right.
And even though they're going, this company is so amazing, they'll go, they could do this. And it's just like, wow. Now, they may not have felt comfortable saying that to the face of anyone inside that company.
It's interesting. When I had you do this for me and you contacted my clients, you were contacting clients. I had sold their business for them, right?
Right.
Successful deals, right? And they were still telling you they wanted me to communicate more with them because they weren't sure exactly how hard I was working. And when you told me that, I'm thinking, what, are you out of your mind? I mean, I did the job, right? Why do you care whether I work 2 hours or 10 hours?
Right.
And you sort of opened my eyes that they want to know, even though it may not be something that had any value to them. The value was they just wanted to know what Joe was doing for them.
Exactly.
It was such a surprise to me to hear that.
And you know what's really interesting about that? Because in the attraction retention model, which is going to be featured in my next book, The Prosperity Quotient, too, there's an aspect of going from share of mind to share of wallet. And share of wallet is the first time they purchase and then getting up to share of heart where they're literally buying on a regular basis. And you can have somebody buying on a regular basis that never has that share of heart because that's a whole nother level of wow, right? But competency to provide the offerings or competency isn't just before they hire you, it's while they're experiencing the business. And so that competency is really and so that's part of it. That reinforcing what you're doing is reinforcing the competency aspect.
Right.
And so that communication aspect, I think, is absolutely critical. I just had a client that I was doing a strategy session for say, how many times do we need to touch? And I go, well, first of all, the touches need to be meaningful, not just, hey, how you doing? Or just like, stuff that doesn't have any meaning. It has to be meaningful. But I think, take a step back and look at, do your customers, the current client base, if you're feeling like you're not getting as much out of them, chances are you're not letting them know what they could get out of you.
Right. That's very interesting. And you've taught me it's going to be surprising what you're hearing. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
really-
yeah. There's always a surprise. There always is.
Let's take a break.
Yep.
When we come back, I've got a treat for you. Jeb
I'm excited.
Blunt. Am I saying that right? You know, if I
Blount.
don't say his name correctly,
Blount.
he's going to make fun of me as soon as we
It's,
bring him
you know,
on.
it's either Blount or Blunt, and get that in there. But maybe but maybe we need to double check that.
Fanatical Prospecting.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
a
go to
great book.
salesgravy.com. It is a fabulous book. I literally read this book. I should say I listened to the book on Audible, and then we reached out to his group to get him on the show. So he is called in, and we're going to talk with him. And I can't think of somebody better to help me do that interview than the fabulous, the spectacular, the marvelous Sherre DeMao. She is the strategy maestro, CEO of Biz Growth Inc. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to the author of Fanatical Prospecting. If it's WSIC, your business matters. We'll be right back.